Today's movie has the pick for one of the worst titles I have ever heard. Heaven is for Real. Actually, maybe it's not a bad title because I feel like the title alone pretty much sets the stage for what I'm expecting for this, which is just an overly preachy, overly sentimental Jesus flick, trying to cash in on the religiousness of people, trying to go that route. And I don't think it's gonna really earn its right to be overly sentimental and preachy. And that's pretty much right on the money of what I expect from this movie. I don't even really expect much more than that. The acting doesn't look that good, even apart from Greg Kinnear, who I was surprised to see was going to be in this movie. The kid doesn't look that good. He looks like the stereotypical, cheesy, bland, overly cutesy child actor. So, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. We'll see. See you after the movie. Okay, wow. That was really not the movie I expected to see. While I still won't say that it was a good movie by any means, it was a lot better than I thought it would be. And in fact, it was almost a good movie. It was almost, it almost really worked. Heaven is for Real is about, for those of you who may not know, Heaven is for Real is about, apparently it's based on a true story about this kid who has a near-death experience. He's 4 years old. He has a near-death experience, and afterwards he claims that he saw heaven. And he's the son of a preacher. And in this movie, the preacher's played by Greg Kinnear, and he's the leading role. And he has a majority of the screen time, and I am very thankful for that. Because Greg Kinnear is an absolutely wonderful actor. And in this movie, he is very good. The boy, I'm trying to remember his name. In the movie, his name is Colton Burpo. Their last name is Burpo. Jesus. But the kid's name, the actor's name is Connor Corum, I believe. This kid was incredibly irritating. He really was. And I expected that. I didn't expect Greg Kinnear to be as good as he was. I expected this kid to be bad, though. Just from what you saw in the trailers, I mean, he's just... And I do not blame the kid for this. I want to set that straight right now. Whenever there's a child actor in a movie, especially one as young as this, and they give a bad performance, it's not the kid's fault. It is not the kid's fault at all. It is the fault of the director, because that's who's basically telling them what to do and how to do it. They can have all the instincts in the world, but if the director's not good, then the kid is not going to give a good performance. He's too young to know things like, being on action or how to become emotionally invested in the character and what is the character that he's portraying. They're too young for that. So I don't blame the kid. I blame the director. The director... And this is weird because the director, for the most part, avoids over sentimentality in the movie. Again, which surprised the heck out of me. But with the kid, it was just like every line he said was, heaven is for real, and in heaven there's God, and he's really nice, and he rides a pony. Like, every line this kid said was that irritating. And honestly, it was kind of jarring because the movie isn't that irritating. on the whole, it still has its incredibly corny moments, but on the whole, it's not that it's not the manipulative movie I thought it was going to be. And in fact, there's a few changes that if they had made, like big changes that if they had made, they would have, it would have been a really good movie and a really interesting one. Please do not run into my other car. I'm doing this in the daylight for a change, and there's so many other people around. It's so weird. The biggest problem with the movie was that wasn't the fact that it was bad. It was because it had glimpses of the type of movie it could have been, and when it didn't follow through on that, it was a disappointment. Basically, after the kid has his visions of heaven, he tells his father, and his father doesn't know whether or not he should believe him. And in fact, his father even goes to a psychiatrist and says, like, you know, my son says he saw heaven, and I feel like I should believe him because, I mean, I'm a preacher, and this is my kid, and why would the kid lie? And the psychiatrist says, well, you have to look at it rationally, you know, when you have near-death experiences, people who have near-death experiences, they release hormones, and this puts them in a state of peace, and it shows them what heaven will be like. And, you know, the Christians see the Christian heaven, and the Muslims see the Muslim heaven. And the struggle, you see Greg Kinnear, and he understands this, I think, very well. You see the struggle that he has with wanting to believe his son, but at the same time wanting to be a rational human being and say, well, there's no way that he really could have seen heaven. Like, that's just not possible. And when he comes at it from the standpoint of being a religious person, a minister even, a preacher, it adds even more confusion. And there were times when the movie even implied that maybe he was starting to lose his own faith. And the fact that his child is saying that he sees heaven is putting him even more in confusion. Unfortunately, the movie doesn't follow through on these themes, which would have been way more interesting than just saying, yeah, this kid saw heaven and he's right, you should believe him, which is ultimately what the movie was saying. And like I said, that's a real shame, because it would have been so much more interesting, and honestly, probably would have got its point across even better than trying to have this preachy tone that it was having. And that's really where the movie fails. And the only reason why it fails, because the director, like I said earlier, he takes his time, and he doesn't, yeah, there's still a lot of sappiness in the movie, but he doesn't focus on the sappiness, and he doesn't make the sappiness what the movie is about, for the most part. He is careful for the most part to make sure that the movie isn't just this emotionally manipulative, you know, tearjerker or whatever. And even apart from that, like, the movie's well put together. It's at times it can be visually speaking, it can be really nice. Like, there's some good cinematography and stuff in it, and even some good, like, effects. You know, because they have moments where they show, like, what heaven is like for this kid, and these things are very good about the movie. If you feel like you want to see it, you will definitely enjoy it a lot. Like, if you're a Christian and you want to go see this movie, you will be absolutely fine. I mean, it's not gonna, like, reaffirm your faith, I don't think, and it's not really gonna be the type of movie that non-Christians are gonna go see and fall in love with it and say that they want to be a Christian now either. And it never was going to be. And I think at times it thought that, like, maybe it could have been. And that's where it loses itself, because instead of focusing on the drama, which is what the movie could have focused on to make itself a good movie, it just focused on trying to prove that this kid's right and that heaven is real. Heaven is for real. Like they don't make it a question, they make it an answer, which is why the movie doesn't work, in my opinion. But again, this is just my opinion, and my opinion is just one opinion. I think a lot of people are going to go see this movie and they're going to really like it, because again, it's well put together. It's well acted by Greg Kinnear. He's very good in this movie. Like, not Oscar worthy, but he knows the character. He knows what the movie is about at heart. He knows where the drama in the character and in the movie lies. More so than I think the director did. Thomas Hayden Church is also in the movie, and he's really good too. Like, he's not amazing or anything. I don't know if he was giving 100%, but he's one of those very charming actors that you have a good time watching in a movie no matter what. There's not a whole lot else to say about it. I was impressed, but I could have been more impressed. I thought it was okay, but I didn't like it as much as I could have, and that's actually why I feel like the movie's worse than if it had failed as a drama. Like, if it had gone, like I said, if it had focused on the drama of a minister who's losing his faith because of his son who says he believes in heaven, of the church who doesn't believe him or doesn't want to believe him and his son, if they had focused on that and the movie had failed, it would have been a much more noble failure than not focusing on that, showing us the type of movie that we could have had and not given us. So, I completely lost my train of thought just now. It's gone. But yeah, heaven is for real. If you are the person who wanted to go see this, yeah, go see it. You'll be fine. If you're the person who feels like you're going to be dragged to go see it by, I don't know, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, whatever, and you don't know if you're going to have a good time, like, you're not going to be angry at it. You're not going to hate this movie, because it's, apart from the little kid, everything about this movie is passable. Like, the little kid is the only part that's bad. So, yeah, you'll be fine. If you have no interest in seeing this movie at all, and you feel like you're going to hate it, yeah, you probably won't like it, like me. You probably won't like it, but it's definitely not as bad as you'll expect. So, that's Heaven is for real. Like, I would give it a thumbs down, but it's far and away from the worst movie I've seen this year. Have a good time at the movies.